So Ezio comes from a family that we've invented. They're known as the Auditores. You'll also notice throughout the game that most of his family members have very classical names. They're not typically Florentine names. They're either they have like Latin or ancient Roman roots, so there's right away a sense that they don't exactly belong in Florentine society, and we'll find out what it is they're doing there and why Ezio's father works for the Florentine government. But I think a lot of that stuff we should save for the player to find out during the game. So initially when the game begins, the Auditore family is a fairly standard noble family. They're not, you know, particularly elevated, but they're well respected. There's some backtalk or like snickering amongst some of the other nobles because there's suspicion. They rose to power and prominence like very quickly. They don't go back multiple generations in the city, so you know people are sometimes speculating about where it is they found their wealth and their power and how it is they came to be so easily you know a part of the nobility. And we learn fairly early on that Ezio's father worked for Lorenzo de' Medici and before that for Lorenzo's father, and so that probably has something to do with it. He's the son of a noble. He's well-to-do. He's studying to follow in his father's footsteps. His father, as far as we know, is a banker who helps to maintain the Medici family finances.
The three words that really describe Ezio to me are carefree, charmer, and rambunctious.
At the beginning of the game, Ezio has a normal life in Florence during the Renaissance. He has brothers, he has servants around him. He really has like an easy life. He knows a lot of stuff. He's got a lot of knowledge for people of that period of time.
So one of Ezio's bigger strengths when the game first begins is that he's very charismatic. He has a way both with women and with men. So you know the ladies love him and the guys want to be him, and you know. He gets by on his charm a lot of times. It'll get him out of or even into some kind of, you know, amusing situations.
Ezio has a lot of panache. He's very confident, and the way it's shown in the game is in his personality. He's always very courteous, very polite to noblemen and peasants alike, even if he's about to stick a double hidden blade in your skull, right? And with the ladies, he's always very charming. He always says the thing that'll surprise him, and that makes him stick out. So that's why they have a really, really hard time resisting to his charms.
Ezio is a typical Italian nobleman in many ways. He's a fiery, violent, proud personality. He's terribly proud of his family and his family heritage and connections. When his family is injured, he's driven to avenge that injury. He has a very powerful sense of honor. Honor was one of the most important possessions an Italian man could have. A man would do anything to defend his honor, and often by going on the offensive and taking out his enemies, he could actually increase his stock of honor in the eyes of society around him. So Ezio, as he goes around and takes out his enemies and makes sure they know precisely why he's doing the things he's doing, is acting very much like an Italian man of honor.
So the meaning of Ezio's name, in following with the tradition established by the first Assassin's Creed, is that Ezio means eagle. So perhaps, at least initially, Ezio's biggest flaw is that he thinks he's capable of more than he actually is. Again, this is the story of a guy that's growing up, that's coming to find his place in the world, and all the while trying to exact revenge against people that have harmed his family. And so initially he may rush headlong into things, you know, without the proper skills and proper training. But you know, he's smart enough to understand that when he does have a weakness or when he does come up short in a certain area, that he should find ways to improve himself, whether it's through training or whether it's through educating himself or whether it's through learning restraint. The other thing, you know, that's going to become a flaw throughout the game is that he, at certain points, becomes so focused on vengeance that he fails to consider the consequences of his actions. And it's an irony that we have to balance throughout the franchise, that here you have people that are supposedly fighting for a greater good, or trying to right severe wrongs in the world, and they're going about it by killing people. And so this idea of the irony of being an assassin is also something that we'll explore in the game in further detail as it progresses. His life will change drastically, and the people that he once thought of as friends and companions will be turned against him, and it'll open his eyes up to the way in which noble society worked in Renaissance Italy, which is to say that you are, it's very easy for the people that you once called friends to suddenly become your enemies, and he's going to be a victim of that. Ezio becomes an assassin in order to avenge the tragedy that's befallen his family. It offers him a solution to a problem. People that are very close to him are taken from him, and he wants to make the people responsible pay. And along the way, first seemingly by coincidence, he finds himself traveling down the road, the path to assassinhood. And becoming an assassin and acquiring those skills will give him the abilities necessary to exact revenge.
Well, it starts out with vengeance, in the fact that he needs to find the people that did this horrible deed to his family and very unjust deed to his family. I think that's the hot coal that's going to burn the fire throughout the game. But later on, a much larger truth emerges, and that's what will enable him to remain an assassin and to grow into the master assassin. So before he just wants vengeance, but later on he wants justice.